hospitality first will lead you to quality, but quality doesn't always lead you to hospitality. This is Keys to the Shop, episode 532. Why you should start with hospitality. Well, hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Keys to the Shop, where we give you insights, inspiration, and the tools you need to grow as a coffee service professional. My name is Chris DiFirio. I'm your host for the show, and I welcome you. Thank you for tuning in. And you know, there's a lot of places to go for information, and it's great that you're here. I don't take that for granted, honestly, truly. Like I said, there's a lot of places to go, and we strive here at the show to create a place that focuses on the things that truly matter for running a great coffee shop, for being a great coffee professional in a coffee shop. And hopefully we're doing that for you. We have almost 1,000 episodes of the show. So if you're new to the show, better than starting at the beginning and going from there all the way through, which God bless you if you try that. But searching topics, that's a really good way to do it. And the best way, of course, to stay informed and to have access to all of these episodes is by subscribing to the show. If you check us out on YouTube, this is actually a stripped down podcast right now. It's no video at the moment. We usually have video with these episodes, but I would encourage you, subscribe on your podcast platform of choice, subscribe over on YouTube, and just stay updated. Spotify is a great place where a lot of people are listening to the show, and all the classic places. But anyway, thank you so much for that. And one thing I want to mention here at the beginning of the episode is if you find yourself thinking about getting help for your coffee bar, if you are operating a cafe. Now, I work with people as a consultant, a Keys to the Shop consulting, that are opening for the first time. And there are a lot of you out there. I've worked with very awesome people for the last 7-8 years here in consulting. But there are lots of you out there who are also working in your cafe. You're working years and years operating this coffee shop. And you get these little moments of clarity where you realize that you might want to bring in some help. But then another fire pops up, distractions happen, and it just kind of goes outside and it doesn't come back. The thought leaves you. Well, I'm wanting to remind you of that. If that's you, if you're somebody who was thinking, an outside perspective and having somebody to help coach me through where I am now as a business, help assess where we are now as a business in a coffee shop and where we want to go, what we need to refine, work on, improve, fix. We need solutions for some problems that have cropped up, which is natural as you grow. But also there are lots of ways that we can focus in on the great things that you have accomplished as well and keep those going and growing. So if that's you, I would encourage you, take the opportunity now to email chris@keystotheshop.com. I work one-on-one with owner-operators and your management team, your leadership team as well, gets folded into the process where necessary here to level things up, to help you refine your operations, your people, the culture, the quality, everything. So again, if you're interested in working one-on-one with me at Keys to the Shop Consulting, go ahead and email chris@keystotheshop.com. Now, today's episode is brought to you by some amazing sponsors, starting with the folks at Arto Brick, at Arto Brick on Instagram, and then also the Barista Series line of plant-based beverages. That is an amazing product, and I will talk more about both of those companies later on in the episode. But I want to start this off by saying one of the things you might notice about this show, I don't know if you do notice it or not, but it is not a very, we don't have the whole year planned out for what we put up on the show. I am and have been in the coffee industry knee deep, neck deep, buried, in all aspects of the industry for the last 25 years. And a lot of what we choose to talk about on this show comes just from being in and amongst the people of the industry and the movements of the industry and delivering to you as curated and focused a content as possible, whether that's interviews, the people we choose to have on the show to feature on Founder Fridays. I say we, it's me, Chris, on the show. Finally, we have, for the last couple of years here, an editor of the show where that has been awesome. And then, of course, our friend Daniel, who's our social media manager over the past, it's been like a little over a year. But the thing is that this way of operating, because people say, well, how do you choose what to talk about? It's actually is sometimes a little stressful, but it's sometimes, and most of the time, I think very helpful, because it forces me to listen to what my clients or my friends and companies that I'm connected with in my network and the industry at large is really needing in the moment. And that brings us to the topic at hand, which is the topic of hospitality in what order we pursue certain things in the industry. I came back from Coffee Fest in New York City just recently. I've been home for maybe a day or so because I went to Connecticut to do a barista training with a client out there in Burlington, Connecticut, Beehive Coffee. Their cafe is opening soon. Awesome people. And so that was like a long trip. It's like 8 days. But I am back now, and at the booth, at Keys to the Shop's booth, I got to meet a lot of awesome listeners and new friends, make people more aware of Keys to the Shop podcast. And there's a lot of conversations that happen during my presentations and during these conversations at the booth. And one of the things that I found myself bringing up a lot to people was the topic of hospitality, specifically recalling the question that you often ask people who are getting hired or interviewed to be hired. Those people are asked, what's more important, hospitality or quality? It's a trick question. You're supposed to say, both are equally important, or something to that effect. So it's one of those sweated out kind of questions, like, what's your weakness? And everyone says, well, my weakness is I care too much. No, but this seriously is one of the questions. It's a good question to ask. But my answer for this lately has been that we start with hospitality, because it's more likely that if you're focused on hospitality, you're going to get to quality. But it's not as likely if you start with quality coffee, quality food, or whatever, that you're going to get to hospitality in the same kind of fashion or with the same level of earnestness that you pursued the quality initially. The earnestness with which you pursue hospitality, and if you do that first, naturally leads you to conclude it's kind of like I want to serve people very well. I am others focused. I am outside the product. I'm actually about people. And therefore, if I'm actually about people first with the way I pursue things, therefore I will get to the quality, because why would I serve this person I care about, this customer that I care about, anything less than my best? That's different than saying, oh, I love coffee, I love food, I love, dialing in and all this stuff, and I want to serve something I love to people. You see the difference? So this is all anecdotal, and you don't have to believe me. That's the beautiful thing about all of this, is that you're tuning in here, and I may be speaking something that rings true with you, but who knows? But this is what I really do think, after I've seen so many different iterations of how we spend our energy. When we go to a trade show, one of the first things that we see in a trade show is how much we focus on stuff. And then when we focus on people, it's usually about how to control people, how to attract customers, how to keep staff, how to make them do what we want, which is buy more things or stay at our cafe longer or not do that dumb thing that we hate that they do. And so there's this element of this underlying feeling of controlling people, but we're not actually, and this is why some of my presentations use the word care, we're not more focused on the caring for the people. We're a little bit more focused on the how do we solve the problem of people and make them less of a bothersome thing. And that goes also for customers. Customers aren't buying what we have. It can't be that anything related to what we're doing. It has to be that we have to educate our customers, or we have to cajole our baristas to do what we want. We have to do this dance. And all this time, what we end up doing when we're not focused first on hospitality and showing hospitality to our staff and to our customers, that what we're doing is we're creating this monolith, this group There's the customer group and there's the barista group, and they're both problems to be solved, not people to be served. And are there problems? Yeah, of course. There's always a situation that comes up where somebody presents a necessary point of decision for you. Always. A customer does something or says something, they have an issue. A barista or a staff member, a manager, a trainer does something, says something, there's an issue. This is just part of it. But how you start the pursuit of running a coffee shop, starting and running and operating a coffee shop, if your foundation is these are problems to be solved in pursuit of my passion for coffee, then everything you do related to hospitality is going to ring hollow and not really do what it's supposed to do, which is provide a foundation on which the other things, literally the things, the coffee and the sandwiches and, every little aspect of the cafe's operations is built upon. That's why we say hospitality first will lead you to quality, but quality doesn't always lead you to hospitality.
Hey everybody, Chris here, and we'll be right back with our episode, but I did want to talk to you about our sponsors today, Arto.com, Arto Brick. Hard surfaces, stonework, tiles, what your coffee shop is built from makes a huge difference in the feel that people have when they walk in. And how something feels is very important for what they think about you after they're gone. It will make them want to come back. It's just one aspect of a great coffee shop, and Arto Brick is really dedicated to creating great, beautiful, unique spaces, including coffee shops. Armin, one of the owners, he loves talking to coffee people, and you can check him out on Instagram at Arto Brick. Just send a DM, say, hey Armin, I heard about your company on Keys to the Shop, and how can we work with Arto Brick to help us build our second store, or our first store, to scale when we're looking to create something unique and has an amazing feel. Arto Brick is where you should be going. You can check them out, arto.com, and also especially on Instagram, Arto Brick. So our other sponsor today is Pacific's Barista Series. Check them out at pacificfoodservice.com. You can get samples, steam it, taste it. You'll love it. It's amazing. It's created for baristas, tested by baristas across the world before it even reaches your shelves. That's why it stands up to the heat from steaming, creates amazing texture, and it creates a taste balance in the cup, keeps the focus on coffee. And if your customers are discerning in their palate about, hey, I do alternative milks, I do these plant-based milks, you want to serve them the best, I think you should be looking at the Pacific Barista Series. So check them out again at pacificfoodservice.com, and tasting is believing. So there you go.
Yeah, okay. Some people who are focused on hospitality, just maybe they're serving really bad coffee. Okay, maybe they're serving bad product and they're just blithely going along. They're ignorant of the fact that they just love people so much, and they're serving bologna sandwiches, dry bologna sandwiches and Nescafe. Okay, it's not a perfect analogy. But I will say, though, and I think, again, I'll reiterate, it's more likely today, with the industry has provided such a great opportunity for operators to know, taste, purchase, and make great quality products. There's almost no excuse. The industry has done a pretty bad job of demonstrating what great hospitality looks like. We've dialed in coffee so much. And I'd said this to people on the show floor in our talks. I said, hey, we know more about coffee that we're serving, the roasted product and everything else, the story of coffee, than we know about our own staff, that we know about our customers. We don't really make a study of this per se, because the point of what we're doing is not so much the people, even though that kind of aspirational language makes it into our values and our mission statements and things. Ostensibly, this is what we're doing. We're creating community and everything else, but we're studying finance, we're studying coffee. We're not really studying people. We're not really studying our community. We're not welcoming feedback and earnestly listening deeply, reading between the lines, having patience and grace in relationship, holding to standards as a way to deliver value to people that we value as the primary point of what we're doing in hospitality. We're supposed to be delighting people with our coffee, with our service. We're supposed to provide an overall experience so that when we open, we're not just saying, well, if the coffee's good, then we're doing good. We're saying, no, if the toilet paper doesn't run out and the coffee is good, we're doing good. No, if we're heads up, we don't have our distraction of cell phones behind the bar. We're not putting on the service face and faking it and just kind of hating the customer, talking bad about them when they're not there, and then trying to love the customer when they're there. These are things that contribute to what people perceive coffee to be. And in the pursuit of self-care and balance, which is a complex equation built on what management and leadership provide with expectations and compensation and opportunity, along with personal agency, baristas and staff, you still are a person with agency. You can make adult decisions about your emotional state and capacity at work. We don't have to scapegoat everything to the boss and the trainer. And, we have this mentality that unless everything is frictionless, that friction is just debilitating and I can't bring myself to work. Bullcrap. That's not a thing. And if it is, then you're in the wrong business and you need to be somewhere outside of where there is an emotional expectation. There really is. In hospitality, this is part of what we should actually acknowledge. We sign up for this. It is tiring, hard work, and all of us together should be pursuant of a holistic mutuality in the way we care for each other so that we can care for the guest. It's a two-way street. We've talked about this before with lots of different episodes. Nobody should think that, this group of people is to blame or that group of people is to blame. Once we all start taking individual responsibility and being others focused and focused on other people's success as a measure of our own success, then magic happens. This is what some of the best operations have that struggling operations don't. And so hospitality is one of those words that gets tossed around a lot. And if we're not careful, what hospitality turns into is just another form of technical knowledge and a way for us to try to get customers to experience coffee the way we want them to experience it because we know best. And it's like we're doing things to the customer instead of for them again, because our natural default is we love coffee and then people, they're secondary to this. But we're opening these coffee shops that are hospitality institutions. Serving coffee in a coffee shop is a promise of hospitality. It's implied in the fact that it's open and welcoming people in with its marketing. Now, whether you're welcoming them actually when they walk in and they've been tricked, and now this is some kind of laboratory, where this is our coffee lab that we're going to, regale you with all of these technical things about coffee. And you thought you were going to have a hospitality experience. Well, guess what? We've redefined hospitality to become a word that is like a Trojan horse now. What we actually meant was we're just going to lecture you again about coffee. We don't really want to pursue a operation that delivers joy on your terms. We want to talk to you about all sorts of experimental things and different delivery systems and constantly change the rules of how you should enjoy coffee. We want you to technically enjoy coffee before you really enjoy it. So let's not do that. It's kind of a sneaky thing that happens. It happens subconsciously. And it happens because that strong motivation we have in the industry is around the product itself. And, in and of itself, there's nothing wrong with the fact that we do love coffee, that we are fascinated by this beverage. And at the same time, I think we have to admit that the way that we are caring for people in the midst of this needs a little bit more attention, because the technical aspect of the work naturally just overwhelms everything else. We're not taught as well. We're not talking about as much hospitality and people and community and serving them well. We're not dialing ourselves into the process of extracting joy personally from the joy of other people. We actually are a little bit more happy when people love what we love. If we can get a customer who drinks a dark roast coffee to end up drinking some kind of a light roast pour over because they drink dark roast batch and now we got them to drink Ethiopian light roast, we feel like that's a badge of honor. Is somehow that's given us a new level of respect amongst our peers because we've converted them. But converting people is not the same as showing hospitality to them. Converting people to your thought of what is best for them in coffee is not actually providing what's best for them through coffee. And so that's why we're talking about hospitality right now, because you go to these shows, SCA is coming up in Houston. The same thing will happen. Technology, processing, the product, the agriculture, everything else. Anemic presence of how do we best serve our customers right now. And again, it's going to become couched in language around technical prowess, technical jargon, and we're not actually pursuing the soft skills of hospitality so much as we're still expecting customers to acquiesce to our own defaults and passions for coffee. And actually what this does is it disrupts the industry in a way that's not the good kind of disrupt. You know, we're always talking about disrupt the industry. Sometimes disruption is just another way of saying, look at me, I'm doing something that's not too new. It's just, flashy and loud. But this is actually disrupting in the sense that we're not allowed to gain momentum over time with our pursuits, which in turn creates a lack of dependable end of the value chain industry and coffee shops. We get more turnover in staff. We get more disappointed customers. We get all sorts of schisms, and we don't deliver the value that specialty coffee says it should deliver because we are still more obsessed with the product than serving people through the product, because we feel like if we focus on people, maybe we're going to stop caring about coffee. And so we've got to keep that part up all the time. We got to focus on that all the time, because if I don't focus on coffee all the time, all of a sudden the coffee is going to taste bad. I just don't think that's true. And I know this is just me kind of pontificating on what could be the reasoning behind this. But one thing is true. It is that we have an uphill battle. It's kind of like this Sisyphean task of the industry pushing against us as we try to push against the industry begging us to constantly focus on smaller and smaller subcategories of niche coffee science and other things, because if we don't, then all hell will break loose in our hoppers and customers will leave you. And the fact is, customers are really more easily satisfied with coffee than you think. It's not licensed for us to just say, well, now we don't care about coffee. We're a little too black and white with this. There's a lot more nuance here. We have to, I think, counterbalance ourselves in the direction of hospitality, because the inevitable pull of the industry is to make us over-focus on these technical aspects of the product versus the relational aspects of what we're serving, who we're serving. So this is why I'm talking about hospitality today. We should start there. Start with hospitality. And then when you get to the other stuff, you will have a better why. You will have a better reason that will actually push you beyond the dark night of the soul where you feel like everybody is just annoying you. They don't get it. They still ask for drinks that aren't on the menu. They aren't loving the coffee that you love. And it feels like this is just too much, right? But if how we started this whole thing was to serve people, we're not going to be so easily offended when people just don't get the tasting notes. We're not going to be so easily offended if people order things that aren't on the menu, because we'll have a little bit more empathy. We'll have a little bit more of a view into the mind of the customer whose mind has been crammed full of 27 different companies' marketing copy. And now they come to your cafe and the language they speak is this kind of mixed up, jumbled combination that they've assembled just passively trying to get good coffee in various stages of their life. You can forgive them for not being precise. And so we should, right? That's where I think we really need to be focusing our energy. It is important for us to have a holistic view towards everything we do. We should have excellent hospitality, and we should seek to excel in that, as well as how our coffee tastes and is served and cared for as a way of caring for them. Same thing goes for the cleanliness of our space and the functionality of it, thinking about keeping the shop. It's all for the person and their experience, because the product, when we say experience, that's not a material thing. It's a memory made up of a lot of different points of contact with people, product, and place. And this, therefore, is what leads to success or not success. So it's just been on my mind to bring this up and to think about how we can recalibrate. And it doesn't happen overnight. You're not going to slap your forehead after listening to this, and then all of a sudden there's just this shift. Shifting the way that we focus takes lots of little tiny actions over time. We need to be patient with ourselves and our teams and just what we're creating to take shape over the years that we run our coffee shops. If you're starting a new cafe and you hear this and you think, well, that's the way that we want to operate, and you start right from the beginning with that kind of a mantra, and it's a natural flow of how you speak about things, not some kind of cheesy before you open group chant that you do. Don't make this hokey. If you believe in this stuff, you will embody it, demonstrate it, talk about it. It's natural, it's flowing. And if it's not, then you might want to just kind of take a deeper look in yourself and say, do I really believe that? So again, if you're new to coffee shops and you start with this as the foundation, I think you're going to be better off. It's really what the future holds for coffee. There's going to be plenty of places out there who provide the exact same menu items. The magic happens in the details in between the technical jargon. It's the relationship. It's the glue that holds everything together. It's the hospitality. And that happens when that's the foundation. It's a differentiator that even if they copied your whole menu, even if a chain comes into town, there's not going to be anything to replace that thing, that feel that customers might not be able to say, yes, I identify this, the way that I can pick a menu item out, but they feel it. And it's sort of a vote of confidence, an act of faith that people are looking for that in the way that they experience something, the purchasing of an item. And for all the effort that people have walking into a coffee shop, parking and walking in and getting the coffee, we owe it to them to make them our focus. This is the promise that we have when we open coffee shops. And so let's fulfill our promises and truly make it special with hospitality first. So that's all I have to share with you today. I would encourage you to go ahead and email chris@keystotheshop.com if you're interested in any coaching, consulting, that kind of thing. But just don't forget to subscribe to the show and stay up to date with all the episodes. And if you love what we do here at Keys to the Shop, you can go ahead and it would be awesome to have a 5-star rating or review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. That stuff is awesome. So I hope this has made sense and has helped you in some way. Thank you so much for joining me. And as always, I hope that this episode has truly given you keys to the shop.